Me? What would you know about a family? You have no idea how a real family functions. Your actual family didn't want you. You ran away because you were clearly not wanted.
r/entitled parents. Our first story of the day, entitled X and Family, Controlling Family, from user NOXI. And after that, entitled Uncle Stole My Turtle Plush and Ruined My Vacation, from user Mother Death. Thank you so much to our authors for letting us read your stories. And if you're an author who would like to hear your stories on the channel, please submit them to the r/Mr. Reddit subreddit. And welcome to the newest members of the Re-Army, Kamichu, Jade, and Joshua. And if you're new, join the Re-Army by subscribing for new stories from Reddit every single day. Entitled X and Family, Controlling Family. Hey, Mr. Reddit. So I finally decided to start sharing some of my own experiences. I tried to keep it pretty clean, but there are a few moments. Sorry about that. Okay, so before I get into this, I need to make it clear. This relationship I am posting about was very, very toxic and seriously messed me up in my mental state, to a point where I went from confident to pure submissive and unsure of myself 24/7. Please read with this in mind. I kept out certain triggers as to not trigger others. The ex isn't the only guilty one. His mom, entitled mom, and sister, entitled sister, were a huge part of all of this. D is his mom's boyfriend, who is nothing short of lovely. But for now, I'll just share a small part of what happened. Plenty happened over 7 years. So just to paint the picture for you all, because it will make more sense, I'm a white British female. I was also lucky enough to be fostered and adopted by my best friend and his family. My ex and his family are Indian. This will make sense later. So, from the get-go, things were odd to say the least. From the first day I was introduced to my ex's family, that consisted of his mom, his sister, and his mom's boyfriend. He's also a white British guy. Again, me mentioning this will make sense. So it was a very nervous time for me. I'm very anxious and wary of new people, new places, and new noises in general. I am very introverted, which not everyone understands, and feels is me simply being rude. Regardless to how I try to explain it, it just takes me time to get to know people. Anyway, so the first day I met my ex's family, as soon as I stepped foot in the door, his mom, entitled mom, says hello, pretty much attached herself to me with a hug, which threw me. As mentioned, it takes time for me to get used to new people, and having my space invaded so suddenly resulted in quite the expression from me. And as entitled mom goes to move away, she makes it clear who she is. It went as followed.
Hello, OP. My son has told me so much about you. I do hope you realize that he deserves the best. I expect great things from both of you.
I was still in shell shock from having my space so suddenly invaded. Was a bit violating if I am honest. However, as I'm about to open my mouth and introduce myself, I kid you not, she announced to me,
I'm going to need your mobile number as well. I like to make sure I can always get in touch with my son.
I remember thinking to myself, right, okay, I guess it makes sense. Maybe it will make sense. I was already trying to justify this for it to make sense. However, red flags were going off. Everything felt like it was going 100 miles per hour. But I tried my best to not let the sudden invasion throw me off. So moving on a few months, I get to know them more and more. My ex's mom starts forcing us to spend time together, making it clear that this is good for us. I'm talking every single day. Every time I went over to visit, she would force us all to spend time together. Honestly, it was very suffocating for me. I'm all for family time, but this was getting crazy. And then I noticed more red flags. Aside from the obvious power, control, freak red flags and her entitlement, each time I was over, she would be telling my ex she's texted such and such to come over. Me being me, I thought it was family. No harm in that. Fair enough. No harm in that. Then we hear her shouting and screaming through the phone from the kitchen. Turns out she was leaving voicemails. I just hope they didn't have headphones in for that. I mean, she was full-on banshee screaming. I honestly thought someone had done something wrong, that someone had seriously messed up. My ex and I go in when it's quiet, and she just lets rip. Turns out, she had texted my ex's friends to come over and spend time with us. I later learned that she does not ask people to come over. She tells them to, because they owe her. Yeah. So she starts ranting and raging about my ex's friends not coming over. How disappointed she is in all of them. How
they are basically like my own sons. How dare they not come over? Ungrateful grunts. After all I have done for them.
And even more swears and self-important raging. I decided to go and sit in the lounge. I was still trying to process why she had the numbers of my ex's friends and why she's reacting like this. I went to the couch closest to the door of entering the lounge. It's basically a front door, little hallway, and turn left to enter the lounge. But given how she is, I figured I'd just leave it for now. I was unaware of her outbursts. Entitled Mom comes into the lounge, along with Entitled Sister, and of course, my ex. They sat down on the larger couch and immediately started bad-mouthing the ex's friends. Now, I hadn't met them yet, but this felt so wrong. The things that were said honestly sickened me. If you care about people like family, you do not come off with the sort of things I heard. So, I decided to switch off of them and pulled out my phone, checking Facebook and my messages. By this point, Entitled Mom's boyfriend had come home from work. So, her boyfriend has literally just come through the door. He works long hours. He's very successful when it comes to his work. I won't get into it too much. He assists with setting up businesses. Now, by this point, me and him get along well and have had a variety of conversations that have been nothing but polite, positive, and generally comforting. No conflicts or bad-mouthing at all. If anything, our shared sense of humor led to silly conversations and scenarios. And if you're thinking the Entitled Mom didn't like it, you'd be right. She didn't. But that round of drama is for another time. Her boyfriend had just taken his shoes off and come into the lounge, greeting everyone and asking how everyone is. And Entitled Mom, Entitled Sister, and my ex just looked at him. His face just dropped. This poor guy had been working for over 14 hours, and his face was that of sheer dejection, and, oh boy, here we go again. Just as he was about to ask how everyone's day was, Entitled Mom starts wailing and going full-on Karen.
Entitled Son's friends refuse to come over to eat. I am furious. How could they? After everything I have done for them, after all the help I've given them over the years, after all the holidays I've allowed them to come on with us, and now they tell me no?
Her boyfriend asked what I refused to ask. I looked at him with wide eyes, trying to quietly express, "Don't do it." But he did. Poor guy went there. I was closest to the door, facing away from them. Her boyfriend says, "Entitled Mom, they aren't kids anymore. You need to be considerate of their working hours. They're both working full-time jobs, in firms. They also have to travel at times like I do. I'm sure it's—" But he was cut off. Entitled Mom was having none of it.
If I tell them to come over and eat and spend time with us, I expect them to do it. After all I have done for them, the least they can do is come and spend time with me when I tell them to.
Yes, I kid you not. This is how it was going down. This, as I would soon come to learn in just over 7 years, was the norm when she was told no. I'd have a better chance of growing another hand from my head than being able to say no without any drama. So Entitled Mom continues shouting at her boyfriend about this, and I figured I'd just go to the bathroom, just to get away for a few minutes, hoping that it would all be over and done with by the time I'm done. So I go and do my thing. I can still hear Entitled Mom's voice echoing in the house. This woman has no off button, but I really wish she had a mute option at least. The bathroom was upstairs, just above the kitchen, so it was easy to still hear everything. Now, onto the main area that resulted in her boyfriend snapping at her and me packing up everything and going home. As I came back downstairs, Entitled Mom is still going on. However, her boyfriend is doing his best to calm her down and explaining to her that she, my ex, and the entitled sister really do need to stop treating people like they owe her something. That doing something nice for someone, be it a friend or your son's or daughter's friends, it doesn't mean you can hold it over them. Which was true. However, Entitled Mom, Entitled Sister, and my ex always did that. Trust me, anything my ex did for me was used against me. and I will share such things in another post later on. As I go to sit down, my ex and entitled sister decided to put their attention towards me. I was already used to this, even after a few months into the relationship. My ex. OP, wouldn't you be upset if your friends refused to spend time with you and your family, despite how much your family has done for them? Entitled sister.
We are just a really close family, and we do a lot to help people. So it's only right that people come over when we tell them to, especially when it's just coming over for dinner.
I was looking at them at times when they were directly talking to me. However, I kept my phone in my hand as a means of escape if needed. I was very uncomfortable during all of this. And then entitled mom chimes in. Please note, by this point, they are aware that I was fostered, adopted.
Wouldn't your mother be upset if she texted your friends inviting them over, and they refused?
Now, I am a very blunt person. I really did learn the hard way that I couldn't be myself around these people. Hence why everything else that was about to happen ended with me always having to apologize. Always. My mom doesn't have my friends' numbers. She doesn't organize when my friends can or will see me. None of my other friends' parents do this either. We simply meet up as we can. I honestly find it very odd that you have your sons and daughters' friends' mobile numbers and organize when they can and should come over. Oh boy. Oh boy. I really did learn that day not to ever be that honest or blunt. I'm sorry for the increase of the no-nos here, but crap hit the fan. The sound she made. Honestly, the scream noise of shock that woman produced made me jump. I could swear it felt like my heart was in my mouth. I could taste my underwear. It was that horrific and made me jump. Later on, I got used to that noise. Entitled mom went off. She was shouting at me.
Excuse me? What would you know about a family? What do you know about family? You have no idea how a real family functions. We are close. I know everything. I am their mother. It is my place to control all these situations and people.
And there was more, but I started seeing red at this point. As she was taking a much-needed breather and continued to screw up her face in anger whilst glaring at me, I figured I was going to go ahead and just tell her what I thought. Bad times. Very bad times. I am part of a family, you know. I do know how the family thing works. But to me, having your son and daughter's friends' numbers is not only odd, it's controlling as well. I didn't get another word in after that.
Your actual family didn't want you. You ran away because you were clearly not wanted. You know nothing of a close family life. I don't know how your kind thinks it works. But for us, for our culture, this is normal. I refuse to have you racist ignorance tell me otherwise.
By this point, I was done. That moment showed me, no matter what I say or do, there is no point in being honest or blunt. So I packed up my stuff and headed home. I was still trying to process everything. Whilst I was getting my stuff together, her boyfriend had snapped. This gentle giant of a man was telling entitled mom how disappointed he was with her. He was still handling himself well, but he had clearly had enough of this. I didn't listen in, but as I came downstairs, he was in tears. He decided he needed to get away for a few days, and as such, he ended up leaving later in the evening. I only know that because my ex told me and tried putting the fault onto me. Yup, my ex, entitled mom and entitled sister, actually put the blame onto me. My ex was messaging me when I got home, telling me how it was my own fault, how his mom means well and knows what she's talking about. And, as mentioned above, he was sure to tell me how it was my fault that their relationship issue had resulted in him leaving, that it was my fault. The 2 to 3 weeks that followed were heck for me. His mom, who obviously had my number, was using me to tell my ex that he had to go over now. She was literally forcing me to be in the middle to talk to him, which in turn made him angry. And again, this is where I started to learn that the relationship was not healthy. And I was constantly reminded of the cultural differences between us in ways that were anything but nice. However, I just went with it. Anything to keep some form of peace. Now, as I mentioned, this was a long and painful relationship. It went on for about 7 years. Before people ask, I did try leaving, multiple times, but I was always promised new things, better changes, and guilted into going back, which I honestly have no excuse for. I should have stuck to it regardless. Basically, I was stupid and weak. Lessons learned. I ended up hardly seeing my own family, having no friends, working long hours to get away, etc. So much happened in this relationship, and I may share more at a later date. For now, I figured I'd just share my first actual, what the heck, entitled much, moment. Thanks for reading. And our final story of the day, entitled Uncle Stole My Turtle Plush and Ruins My Vacation. Hi, Mr. Reddit. I'm a new member of the Army. I love your videos. Nice. Thanks, Mother Death. This is my first post. Blah, blah, blah. Tell me if my formatting is wrong. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. Background info. This was about 5 years ago. Dialogue is not exact. I'm 10 at the time of this story and extremely emotional. I'm still emotional, but at this point in time, I would actually cry over spilled milk. I'm also admittedly very childish. I'm excited over small things, and I'm just simply a kid at heart. This is one reason why I am constantly made fun of in the family. I go on vacation to my mother's home state. This is where all of the family members meet twice a year. I have a large family, and I have at least 21 cousins on my mother's side. One cousin is 3 years younger than me and has been given everything he wants. I'm the closest one age-wise to him, and therefore I am forced to do what he wants. This is where I should probably start now. The not-so-lovely cast. We've got Entitled Kid, my cousin. Entitled Dad, my uncle. Older cousin, and me. The first or second night of every vacation, which lasted about 10 to 14 days, the Entitled Kid's family and my family would go to eat at a certain restaurant. There was a small game room type of area in the restaurant, and I was given $5 from Entitled Dad just so I would go with Entitled Kid. Not a bad deal in all honesty. There was a claw machine that I used to spend as many quarters as I could use on the machine. This day, I was bent on retrieving a medium-sized turtle plush that I very dearly wanted. Entitled Kid spent all his money on small things already. Those rigged claw machines, racing games, etc. He had quickly spent at least $10 on small games. He had also won about 3 small stuffed animals. I, on the other hand, was desperately trying to get the turtle. After about 2 games of this, I bug one of my older cousins to help me get the plush. I hand him all the money that I can get, and he's off. Alas, older cousin does not get the turtle. I was a little bummed by this, but I knew I could push a little bit of money out of my parents. Entitled Kid also tried to get some out of my parents because my mom gave her money. Joke's on him, my father didn't budge. I was given $5 to spend on whatever I wanted to. We all knew what I wanted. I once again handed all the money to my older cousins, and after a few more attempts, they had given up. Entitled Kid was watching this happen after he spent all the rest of the money he could mooch. He then asks,
Could I try and get it for you?
Me, not realizing what was to come, said, sure. After a few attempts from Entitled Kid, he got my beloved turtle. I was ecstatic. I went to grab the turtle and grab the quarters. Entitled Kid got his slimy hand on the turtle before I could get there. I looked at him, a little shocked. What are you doing? He looked at me like he didn't do anything wrong.
I got it. It's mine.
You asked if you could help me.
Yeah, but I got it, and I like it.
It's mine. This little jerk shook his head and walked off with it. This is when I begin to get irritated. I continue after him and state a little bit louder. This is mine. Give it back. He first takes this up with the older cousins, and they both agree with me. I should be given the turtle. Entitled Kid was not happy with this, as he stomps back to the table where the adults are now drinking and watching a football game. Entitled Dad. Why are you two arguing?
She's trying to take this from me. I won it, and she's saying it's hers.
It is mine.
No, it isn't. I won it from the machine.
Yeah, but it was... Entitled Dad shuts me down really quick. If he won it, it's his. Stop lying about it. You're being so childish about this. He was using my money.
Yeah, she gave it to me to play on the machine.
I begin to get angry now. First, he takes it. Now he's lying. No, I didn't. Entitled Dad now shouting.
Wait! So did you give him the coins?
Well, yeah, but
There's no buts about this. He won it. He gets it.
that's not fair. He said he was going to.
Stop complaining about this. It's his. Sit down before I get your parents involved too.
This gets me to sit down. I'm terrified of my dad when he gets mad. This was what finally got me to break down. I go and sit down by my mom, now ugly crying, because I've left this situation in trouble with my uncle and I don't have the turtle. My mom, being an absolute angel to me and my behaviors, asks me why I'm crying. I explain the situation as well as unbiased as any 10-year-old could. She is now slightly annoyed. She has an upset kid and learned I spent a lot of the money that I was given. My parents always gave me the opportunity to save or play with the money. She walks up to Entitled Dad and sits down, explaining what I said. Yeah, it's her turtle. She doesn't need it, but it was her money. Entitled Kid volunteered to help her. She didn't say she was giving him the money.
He got it. I don't think it's right because he's the one who got the toy. He never said he would give it to her.
My mom is more than frustrated and ends up talking to me about it. She enables him to do a lot of stuff, but she couldn't deny he was wrong, and I got the turtle back. Entitled Kid wasn't too happy about it, but he got over it. Entitled Dad, on the other hand, made the rest of the trip heck. I'm already joked about in my family, and every opportunity he could make a joke about how stupid and childish I was, he did. If any minor convenience happened, he'd ask me if I was going to cry, or if I was going to ask as dumb as I did about the toy. Needless to say, that vacation made me hold a grudge against him for a long time.
Support this channel on Patreon, or I'm going to take your toys and give them to my son!
And congrats to our Regenerals of the day, General Thick Thighs, General Thick Calves, Corsi Husky, and Sophie. That's all for now, but don't be blue. I'll be back soon with more stories for you. Remember to listen to Mr. Reddit every night, so your dreams will be wonderful like you are and bright.